Data is alarming. The TSA discovered a record number of firearms and carry-on luggage in Washington state airports in 2024.
Nationwide, the TSA intercepted more than 6,600 firearms at security checkpoints. And joining us to continue the conversation this morning is TSA Spokesperson Lorie Dankers. Lorie, it's always nice to chat with you about this. How are you this morning?
I'm good. Thank you so much for bringing up this topic. I always am ready to talk about firearms and the trends.
Yes, very important topic. So we touched briefly on the numbers just released last week. Can you expand on the number of firearms seized at security checkpoints, specifically here in Washington state, and which airport saw the highest number of firearms detected?
Absolutely. So SeaTac Airport had the highest number of firearms detected by TSA officers, not surprisingly, because it is our busiest airport in the state and one of the top 20 in the country. TSA officers discovered 115 firearms in travelers' carry-on luggage just last year. Now, that was down 2 from the prior year, so statistically pretty much the same. And that's a disappointing number because, we think that one firearm is one firearm too many.
So this new report also from the TSA looked at airports across the country. What are the 5 U.S. airports with the most firearms discovered in 2024?
Absolutely. So the one that has been number one, and it's been number one for years, is Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, where they had 440 firearms discovered in the checkpoint. Dallas-Fort Worth came in second with 390. Houston's George Bush Intercontinental Airport, was in at 272. Phoenix Sky Harbor came in next, fourth at 247. And then Nashville International Airport had 188. So while SeaTac is well below that 188, we're in those triple digits, which really tells us that we're seeing firearms in too great of a number coming to the security checkpoint.
Lorie, I know that I've talked with you numerous times about this very subject. We've heard it from others as well with the TSA. Firearms do not go and carry on luggage. Why do you think this continues to be an issue?
I think it continues to be an issue because I think people are careless. We have more firearm owners across the country. Statistics tell us they're taking their firearms to more places and they're not thinking before they come to the airport. They need to unpack their bag before they pack it to make sure that they don't have their firearm in the bag. What's most interesting about all of this is there's a legal way to travel with your firearm on a commercial aircraft, and that includes unloading it, making sure the magazine is removed from the firearm, the ammunition is put in its original packaging, put all of that in a hard-sided case, lock it up with a non-TSA compliant lock so the only person who has access to that firearm is the legal owner. Put it in your checked baggage. Just tell the airline it's in your checked baggage and packed properly, and you'll be able to have that firearm travel on the aircraft in checked baggage and pick it up at your destination. If you bring it to the carry-on, the absolute opposite will happen. That is, you're going to, of course, have all the screening stop when that firearm is seen on the X-ray. Port of Seattle Police Department is going to respond to the checkpoint. They're going to remove that firearm, and they're going to remove you from the checkpoint, and you're going to leave the checkpoint with law enforcement. Then, of course, TSA will come in right behind that and levy a civil penalty against that traveler of up to $14,950. That's a lot of money. Of course, that's the most egregious case, but let's talk about it really. That is no upside to bringing your firearm in your carry-on. Please stop doing that.
And the repercussions, legally, or things that can be action that can be taken against them. What are some of those potential consequences when we're talking about potential charges?
Absolutely. So it's up to the Port of Seattle Police Department what will happen on the criminal side, but those civil penalties will be expensive, and every single firearm case has a civil penalty levied against it, so keep that in mind. There's also another non-monetary, what I would call penalty, and that is anybody who brings a firearm is going to return to the checkpoint after they're done dealing with law enforcement, and they're going to receive enhanced screening. Now, nobody likes that. Nobody likes to hear that, and the way to avoid it is make sure you don't bring your firearm. Enhanced screening means that your stuff is going to be gone through very thoroughly. You as a traveler, as an individual, will be screened very thoroughly, and it's going to take some time, and a lot of people don't like that. So please, if that's a deterrent for you, keep that in mind. The final penalty would be if you were a trusted traveler, if you were eligible for TSA PreCheck, you're no longer eligible for TSA PreCheck because you're no longer a low-risk traveler, and you're going to be going through general screening regardless of whether you had registered prior to be a TSA pre-check member. That in itself, like I said, is a penalty.
Lorie, obviously awareness is really important when you're talking about such a serious issue, and you coming on the show and talking about the potential consequences and the problem itself. Is there anything more that TSA can do to sort of help reverse the trend with what we're seeing at, SeaTac and other airports across the country? And if so, what steps are you guys taking?
Yeah, so we have to stay within our authorities. Our authorities are granted by Congress, they're established by law, and so we do what we can within those authorities. We have a PAC declare campaign where we're trying to get to firearm owners. But what we're seeing is that people are still coming to the checkpoint. There is a misconception that if they have a concealed weapons permit, that allows them to bring their firearm with them. That is not the case. And perhaps what I should really emphasize to people is firearms have never been allowed in the cabin of the aircraft. This isn't a post 9/11 rule. It's not a TSA only rule. It has always been the case. And so the fact that we're seeing more firearms coming to the checkpoint just shows you that people have been very careless. They have not been aware of what their responsibilities are as a firearm owner. And I would just ask, if you are a firearm owner, please do not bring your firearm in your carry-on luggage. It's a straightforward rule. It's not going to change. And we're going to continue to talk about it just like this to remind people that they need to go ahead and pack it properly if they're going to travel with it at all.
Can't tell people enough. Lorie Dankers, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, to learn more about the TSA's guidelines for firearms and ammunition, you can scan the QR code that's popping up in the corner of your screen there. That will take you directly to KOMOnews.com/hotlinks. From there, you're going to find a link to the TSA's website.